Hey there, listeners. This is Dr. Yeager with Full Circle Animal Healthcare, and welcome back to another one of our fabulous weekly podcasts. Have you ever been looking at your cat and wondered just what it was that they were thinking about? They always seem to have their own, often secretive agenda. Oh, cats. So many people either love them or they hate them. But no matter what side of the spectrum you happen to be on, there's no denying that they are complex, interesting, and of course, adorable little creatures. A few weeks ago, I did a podcast on how the canine brain understands language. So I thought it only fair that this week I would spend some time learning more about the feline brain. Alas, during my research, my findings came up short. As it turns out, the feline brain is about as mysterious to researchers as an empty box seems to be to a cat. How is it that such intelligent beings who have been companions of mankind for well around 5,000 years have remained such enigmas to us all? Listeners, what comes to your mind when you think of a cat, other than how cute they are? Now, I want you to be honest. They sometimes come across to me as aloof, self-interested, stubborn, smart, predatory, playful, and above all, they tend to love living life on their own terms. Cat lovers everywhere are endeared by those attributes. Those who aren't a fan of cats, well, they sometimes disregard their life on their own terms way of as being unintelligent. But anyone who has ever spent any time truly observing a cat can tell you that this is far from the truth. They may be misunderstood. They may not always want to listen to you, but I believe their cognitive abilities are pretty strong. Furthermore, I think that there is much to be said in terms of their intelligence because of their conscious choice to rely on their own instincts. I don't think cats haven't been able to pick up on human cues exactly the way dogs have. Rather, it seems that their lack of response to us is a decision. From the research that we do have, it would seem that this decision is one that is calculated on very much so on a conscious level. A study was done in 2005 by the researchers in Hungary that are part of the Family Dog Project. Now, this study may have been performed over 10 years ago, but it is still very relevant. And the thing is that there hasn't been too much feline research done since then. Adam Malosky, who spearheaded the project, is one of the world's most leading and groundbreaking animal cognition experts. This is the same fellow who did the recent study on how the canine brain understands language. From the name of the project, you know that their primary aim is to understand dogs. But according to Adam, that is not because they aren't intrigued, but rather cats, well, he says cats just don't want to cooperate. Many of you cat parents can probably relate to this. Attempting to get your cat to do something specific, especially something that they wouldn't normally do, can feel pretty useless. During an interview with another animal lover who was trying to get to the bottom of why there is so little research on cats, Malosky simply said that, well, he did one study on cats and that was enough. After much trial and error, Malosky felt that he had hit a brick wall in cat research, and since 2005, he hasn't tried to work with cats ever again. Interestingly enough, this world-renowned dog cognition expert identifies himself as a cat person. His study didn't leave us empty-handed, though. The research aimed to see if felines have a rudimentary theory of mind. Theory of mind is the ability to attribute mental states, such as intents and desires, to oneself and others, and to understand that others have desires, intentions, and perspectives that are different from one's own. In other words, the test was to see whether or not cats can understand interactions that are primarily human. It was a comparative study that also included dogs. In this case, they used hand signals to point at one of two cups. The one they pointed at contained a treat. The other was empty. Simple enough, right? Well, to us, that's how it seems, but pointing at something as a means to imply that there is something of desire under the cup is a fairly human way of communicating. The results broke new ground in animal cognition research, especially for cats. Both cats and dogs almost always went towards the cup that was being pointed at. Researchers expected that result from the dogs, but they weren't so sure that the cats would follow suit. Even more fascinating was that the second part of the research, which involved a puzzle that led to a treat. To get the treat, the cats and dogs would end up having to pull a bowl out from beneath a stool to get the reward. They did the same puzzle again, but this time made it impossible for them to be able to pull the bowl out. Most of the dogs tried a few times and then looked to the humans for guidance or help. The cats, on the other hand, were very persistent, continued to try different ways to get the bowl out. Not one of the cats looked to the humans for help. Well, here's where things get really interesting. Although your initial thought may be that the dogs were smart enough to know that the human could help them, the cats were inhibiting themselves, or just not as smart, because they refused to look for help from the humans. Well, consider two things first. The cats showed a dedication that in itself is not only admirable, but is also a trait that can end up being quite innovative. Experts believe that canines have been our companions for up to 30,000 years. Cats around 3,000 to 5,000 years. Dogs have spent far more time co-evolving with humans, and on top of that, dogs, domesticated and wild, are naturally pack animals that seek and depend on partnerships. Domesticated and wild felines alike are primarily solitary animals. Many may enjoy companionship, but their natural instincts to survive are to rely on themselves. Now, that very instinct is exactly what makes them such fantastic survivalists. The other main idea I got from this research comes from where they did the study. The dogs were brought to the researchers, but the researchers went to the homes of the cats, where the cats would feel more comfortable. To felines, change can be very unsettling, so it was key that the research be done in their own territory. There's a word that was coined by perhaps the most well-known and respected cat behaviorist of our time, Jackson Galaxy, and that word is catify. To catify is to take a walk in the shoes, or rather in the paws, of cats in order to understand them and what makes them comfortable. Galaxy primarily uses that word when it comes to rearranging your home to incorporate more cat-appropriate areas, but it can apply to any situation involving felines. I think catification is truly the key to being able to do more research on cats. Domestication, to an extent, no matter how long cats spend around people, there always seems to be a part of them that is wild and perfectly content doing what they have always done best, which is doing whatever it is that they want to do. And that, listeners, that I think gives us so much information about them and their cognitive abilities. We just have to be able to dig deep, have patience, and catify our methods to try to understand them. I believe that as more people begin to understand cat behavior, more researchers will attempt to do their studies on feline terms, and more remarkable research will begin to surface. So next time you ever wonder what in the world your cat is thinking or are trying to train them, remember to look at life through their eyes. Never underestimate your pet's ability to comprehend and learn. From everyone here at Full Circle Animal Healthcare, give your pet some loves and hugs from us, and be sure to enjoy this beautiful weather. Take care. Hey everyone, I just wanted to give a shout out and say thank you so very much for tuning into our show every week. We so appreciate the support and the likes. We're really trying to reach out and focus on educating the public on common and popular veterinary and animal-related topics. However, we're always looking for great show ideas and would really love it if you reached out to us with any good thoughts you may have. And also, we always welcome your questions. You can send us an email at fullcircleanimalhealthcare@gmail.com. But if you have a tiny question, then send me a tiny tweet. We always love hearing from you. The link at the bottom of the page at twitter.com/fullcircleahc. Thanks again, and until next time.